For weekend number 4 in the Quick Fit British Touring Car Championship, we've come to the fastest circuit in the UK. So welcome to Thruxton for what is guaranteed to be a high-speed day, with maybe a few extra challenges thrown in by the weather as well. 9 races gone, we've had an amazing 8 different winners, with 3 drivers tasting race victory for the very first time. But of course the championship favourites have been showing their class as well. Welcome to Donington Park and the return of the #1 competition in British motor racing.
Blast off, good getaway by Sutton. Into Hollywood they go. Sutton up the inside of Camish and he takes the lead. Here they come up towards the checkered flag. Round 1, won by Ash Sutton at Donington. Cook alongside Hill for 3rd place. Inside line for the old hairpin. Cookie goes through. Great move. Ash Sutton wins round 2 of the championship.
Come on, let's go.
Tom Ingram forces open the door, through he goes. Sutton goes through. Tom Chilton takes race 3 at Donington. Great start made by Jake Hill. Charles Rainford getting a good launch to go 2nd. Jake Hill wins at Brands Hatch. The reigning champion claims glory in race 1 of the day. De Leon for the lead on the inside. Daryl De Leon wins in the British Touring Car Championship for the first time. Rainford gets the inside line for Druids. Charles Rainford, a first-time winner in the BTCC. Good start by Camish. Brooks, the Toyota's getting themselves together and Jake Hill gets turned around. Back straight into the side of Gordon Shedden. Camish wins at Snetterton. Big slide there from Ingram, who's in the wall. Rowbottom back up the inside, he's going to retake the lead. Look, and coming up towards turn 5, he's done it. A win for Dan Rowbottom. Mikey Doble wins for the first time in the BTCC.
2 weeks ago at Snetterton, Dan Camish shook off a blunder at Brands Hatch to get off the mark for the season with a race 1 win. Dan Rowbottom made it a double for Napa Racing and secured his 3rd career victory in a thrilling dash to the line in race 2. And then after coming so close in the past, at last it was Mikey Doble finally securing the first touring car win of his career. But in the standings, the big guns continue to dominate. 4-time champion Ash Sutton retains his lead in the championship after securing another 2 podiums at Snetterton. He's followed closely by Tom Ingram, who continues to look so consistent this season. Defending champion Jake Hill, he endured a challenging weekend in Norfolk but retains 3rd place. But he has Dan Rowbottom and Dan Camish on his tail following their race wins. Adam Morgan, Tom Chilton and Chris Smiley complete the top 8. 3 podiums for Team Virtu at Thruxton, and they lead the team's championship from Napa Racing, with Hyundai leading Ford in the manufacturers. Mikey Doble, after his breakthrough victory, takes the lead from Chris Smiley in the independent drivers, with Josh Cook in 3rd. Restart lead Power Maxed in the independent teams. Daryl De Leon didn't have the best of weekends at Snetterton, but still leads Charles Rainford in the Jack Sears Trophy, what we tend to regard as the Rookie Championship. So race day number 4 in the 10 meeting calendar, and the visit to the high-speed Thruxton circuit near Andover in Hampshire, always a highlight of the season. 2.37 miles in length, relentless high-speed corners, and let's give a nod to Josh Cook. He's not had a win this season, but he's been victorious on 10 occasions around this fastest of all touring car circuits.
It is lights out. It is a good start by Sutton. Not a great start by Camish in comparison to Doble, who's almost up alongside him, but Sutton has certainly got the drop on Ingram. Jake Hill round the outside of Senna Proctor, and a very sideways Chilton in the middle of the pack. Has he been able to save it as the cars come up towards us? Yes, he has, but there's a BMW off the road as well in the background, having a big lose. It's Charles Rainford, who's gone around and around and around. A real magic roundabout job that. It will drop him to the back of the field. I think he was taking evasive action and it all went wrong for him as Sutton leads Ingram, and those two have got away with Doble 3rd. Up into 4th is James Dornan, and Camish has gone backwards. He's an experienced driver with a great strike rate here, 7 times a Thruxton winner, so he's certainly one to watch that Toyota Corolla getting better in the drive than in the wet, as here are the 2 race leaders then absolutely nose to tail. Ingram going to the outside line. Ash Sutton has only 1 lap's worth of boost. Safety car deployed as Ingram tries to go right round the outside. They're going to be level. He goes through. Sutton has to give him room. Ingram will lead at the end of the lap. They race to the flags and the boards, and Ingram is ahead. Doble tries to get up alongside Sutton, and he is ahead and past him as they get to the line, but then I think we'll give back that place. Sutton looked to be going back through on the inside. He wants to use that towards the end of the race as well, but it's Sutton ahead of Ingram. Camish absolutely storming along to catch up. In 4th place is Mikey Doble. Small gap back to 5th, Dorlin. 6th is Proctor. 7th is Rowbottom. Here are the race leaders. And look at Camish go. Gets a bit of a toe off Ingram, who gets a toe from Sutton. To the inside line goes Sutton. To the outside line goes Ingram. He's done it once here to get the lead. Sutton right on the limit as the car quivers under braking. They clash. Camish is going to go through for the lead. They skip out the chicane. Arguably gain an advantage in so doing. Proctor's off the road as well. Ingram comes through in the lead, and that was the last of the late breakers on the outside line. There was really nowhere Ingram could go. But this is the fight for 3rd on the road. Sutton versus Cook, Ford versus Honda, and Josh, after a very, very tough season, is about to make the move and go through on the inside, heading into Church. Job done. Brilliant stuff, this. Josh Cook goes by. He had a 3rd at Snetterton, and he might well emulate that. Been a long time coming, but Tom Ingram's first win of 2025 comes at Thruxton. Tom Ingram wins race 1, Dan Camish 2nd, and Josh Cook, after a brilliant effort from 14th on the grid in a rebuilt car, is 3rd. A troubled Ash Sutton 4th, then it's Rowbottom 5th, Hill 6th, Dorlin 7th, his best ever, Morgan 8th, Proctor 9th, Chilton 10th over the line, but Darrell de Leon will inherit that with the penalty that Chilton will have applied. Round 11 of the Quick Fit British Touring Car Championship is ready to go. Lights go red, quickly lights out. It is blast off with Ingram making a good start, but Josh Cook gets a much, much better start than Camish. So does Sutton as well, and Dan Camish goes backwards. Look at Sutton, round the outside of Cook, up the inside of Ingram, into the lead. A fantastic start. Ash Sutton away like a scalded cat. He leads as they head up towards the complex with Ingram on the outside. Josh Cook looking for the run on the inside line, and Dan Camish fighting back as best he can. You've got Rowbottom in the mix as well, but Sutton is away. What a start. And here, look, Camish on Hill. So Dan Camish squeezes to the outside, going into Noble. That didn't work, but Jake Hill's got the car dancing then. Dan Camish again tries to duck up the inside as they turn their way through Goodwood. Camish, in theory, ought to be able to go through. He's got the power. He doesn't have any grass in the radiator, but Jake Hill, for the moment, stays ahead. But Camish wants to be at the order as well, and he's on the attack against Jake Hill. Here they come again, heading up the hill into the chicane. Dan Camish gets the job done. So that was relatively straightforward for him. Camish finally goes by. We're on the last lap, believe it or not. A 45th British Touring Car Championship win beckons for Ash Sutton. He comes out of the chicane, checkered flag waved, win 45 for Ash Sutton. A fantastic performance. Tom Ingram is 2nd. Josh Cook will come across the line for 3rd. And that, remember, is win number 3 of the season for Ash. He's the only driver to have won more than once, and now he's got that strike rate up to 3. Battle on here. Darrell de Leon sandwiched between the cars of Chris Smiley and Dan Lloyd. And as they come across the line, they're going to benefit from Morgan's penalty as well. Smiley gets 9th, 10th de Leon, 11th is Lloyd. Charles Rainford is 12th, and Morgan 13th. James Dorlin on pole position as the lights go red for the last race of the day. The engine notes rise, the lights go out, it is blast off, and Jake Hill ought to be able to make a good start in the BMW, which he does. Away like the stab rat that it should be, round the outside of the Toyota, and Jake Hill goes through into the race lead. The BMW with its rear-wheel drive lives up to expectation and leads the way. There was a bit of rough and tumble between the Napa Fords, I think, with Ash Sutton getting crowded out onto the dirt, but Jake Hill leads James Dorlin going up towards the complex. Dorlin gets sideways, but he hangs on to it. That's going to spit him out wide though.
Yeah, good start by Jake Hill. He got that BMW going. I did watch Sutton start, and Ingram did exactly what I thought and pulled straight across in front of him to block him off.
Here they come then across the line at the end of the opening lap. So Jake Hill leads the way from Dan Rowbottom as a cheeky look up the inside there. That was Dorlin against Camish, but Camish hangs on to the place, and Dorlin now loses momentum coming out the other side of the corner. That means that Ingram goes past him. Sutton's going to attack as well, but it's Hill versus Rowbottom. Now remember, in the earlier race they were trading places.
Rowbottom setting up this key manoeuvre that he does coming through the complex. He's got that one absolutely nailed. He forces Hill to defend into the first right-hander, hangs it back through the left, and then fires it up the inside. It's such a cool manoeuvre.
Yeah, because of that safety car period, and here comes Camish on the attack. All of this is protecting Rowbottom, but Camish has done it. Round the outside, he goes 2nd. Great move.
That was a brilliant move, really pulled off with precision. So he can go faster.
Sutton, Lloyd, Patterson all being warned about track limits. This is Camish now having to think about defending from Ingram for 3rd place rather than attack. But look, Hill's getting closer to Rowbottom again through the chicane. The wheel lifting forward of Camish is right there ahead of Ingram. Sutton is next up, so Ingram's on the attack, he's on the defence as well. The leaders go by, 7/10 becomes half a second. And Jake Hill still has 2 more laps of boost available than does Rowbottom. This is building up really nicely.
It certainly is. The gap is splitting between them. Look at Sutton, he's looking a bit more urgent now. Looks at the outside, then cuts back to the inside. Is he going to do a row bottom and all the way around the... He's teeing it up, and he's done it. Oh, side by side, they clash. Ingram gets wide on the grass. He'll have to lift off. That advantage the Hyundai gets over Camish.
Indeed so for second place. Round the outside goes Ingram then, up into second spot, but he's going to run out of laps to do anything about Rowbottom. Camish then falls back behind, so Rowbottom leads now from Ingram, and that margin that was 1.7 is up to 2.1 with a lap to go. It's almost game over in terms of any more places gained for Ingram, because the gap is just too great unless there's a problem for the race leading Ford. But it's been a good charge and more points for Tom Ingram. A win earlier on in the day. Home and dry. Down towards the chicane he comes. We've got Josh Cook having just broken into the top 10, by the way. But Dan Rowbottom it is who comes into the chicane as the final race leader, soon to be race winner of the day. He's about to accelerate his way now up towards the timing line. Dan Rowbottom wins at Thruxton. A second win of the season for Dan Rowbottom. Second goes the way of Tom Ingram. Third across the line, Dan Camish. Senna Proctor is fourth.
But Thruxton has given us a really great day of high-speed racing, but at the end of it all, it's still Ash Sutton who leads us into weekend number 5. Join us at Alton, but goodbye for now.